This is a few years old, but it's absolutely ridiculous.
If by it he's referring to this video that he made, he's absolutely correct.
Pope Francis was at the opening of a youth synod at the Vatican, and when he walked out, he was holding a Wiccan staff in his hand.
He was not. He was carrying a staff with the image of the Crucifixus Dolorosus at the top, also known as the Forked Cross or the Mystic's Cross. This is a form of cross and crucifix that developed in the 1200s or 1300s in Germany and is especially associated with the Franciscan orders. I wonder why Pope Francis would carry one. The cross represents Christ hanging on the tree of knowledge, the site of the original sin, thus symbolically representing Christ bringing about atonement for original sin. And while the picture's not great, if you look carefully, you can see the head of Christ carved into the knob where the two arms of the cross/tree come together.
What he's holding is what's known as a traditional Wiccan stang.
He appears to be confusing here two overlapping but differing traditions, Wicca and traditional witchcraft. Both arise out of the neo-pagan movements of the 1960s, and the word stang was created by a guy named Robert Cochrane in the 1960s. Cochrane has some influence on both movements, but is most associated with traditional witchcraft.
Wiccan, of course, is an occult, satanic, anti-Christ religion and belief system.
Depending on how we define occult, Wicca might be that. It is none of the rest of these things. Wiccans don't believe in Satan. They're not anti-Christ. As a matter of fact, here on TikTok, you can find some people who are Christian witches.
We can look through Google Images and see multiple occult images of them holding the staff, using it in rituals, and how it's clearly tied to the occult.
This is a good example of how Googling something isn't really research. The first image is a medieval woodcut. That's obviously from before the 1960s. It's not a stang. He probably got the image because his Google search brought him to this Tumblr page where the image is associated with a poem by Doreen Valiente. Valiente was one of the figures that in the 1960s worked with Robert Corcoran in the development of traditional witchcraft. So the poem and the word stang come from much later than the woodcut. The second picture is actually a picture of a weaver's distaff. Again, we find it associated with the term stang on a blog post, but that's probably not the best source of information given that the blog post also has a picture of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary using a similar distaff, apparently thinking that this is a picture of a witch.
And when we look at these pictures of Pope Francis, we can see clear as day it looks extremely similar in nature to the Wiccan stang.
You know what else it looks similar to? An upside-down lambda. A slingshot, the radioactive symbol, the letter Y, and this stick, which I found by Googling stick. It's almost like the similarity in appearance means absolutely nothing. Jesus is disappointed. Stop it.